In Part 1 we explored ancient, pre-modern accounts of dog-like humanoid entities that walked upright, guarded thresholds, and stalked humans in places where the boundary between worlds felt thin. But as civilization grew, as towns formed, as empires expanded, the creatures followed. They shifted from myth to eyewitness testimony, from carved stone depictions to written historical records, from legends to feared realities. This is where the story gets darker. Because unlike the ancient gods or symbolic beasts, these beings were described not as supernatural creatures of the underworld, but as physical predators roaming forests, graveyards, mountains, and sometimes even the streets of early cities. Some were believed to be demons. Some were thought to be cursed humans. Others were feared as messengers from parallel worlds. But one thing remained the same. They all looked disturbingly like real-world demo-dogs.to the ancient Greeks. The world was full of wonders, but also horrors. Beyond the borders of the known world, they believed, lived monsters, giants, and hybrid beings. But there was one race they described in shocking detail. The kynocephaly, literally dog-headed humans. Writers like Herodotus, Pliny the Elder, and Ctesias all recorded these beings as real, physical creatures. According to their accounts, they stood upright like humans. They had the heads of large dogs or wolves. They hunted in packs. They communicated with barks and growls. They possessed weapons and used tools. Their strength was inhuman. Their senses incredibly sharp. One text claims, "They are swift as the fastest hounds and none can outrun them. They tear their prey with claws and teeth, and their eyes shine red in the night." Another describes a tribe of kynocephaly living in the mountains of India who would run on all fours until close, then rise upright to attack. It is chilling how similar this description is to the demo dog's hunting behavior in Stranger Things. And even more chilling to realize this was written 2,000 years before the show existed. But the Greeks were not describing mythological monsters. They believed these creatures were actual tribes living in remote lands. And they feared them deeply. Centuries later, as Europe moved from Roman times into the Middle Ages, stories of upright dog-like creatures did not fade away. They intensified. During the medieval period, villages across England, France, and Germany reported encounters with enormous black dogs with glowing red eyes. They were called Blackshuck, the Barghest, Church Grim, Hellhound, the Yethhound. While these names vary, the core descriptions remain hauntingly consistent. Massive dog larger than a wolf. Glowing red or yellow eyes. Often bipedal when provoked. Able to appear or vanish instantly. Associated with death, storms, or crossroads. Some accounts say they left no footprints. Others say they left burn marks where their paws touched the ground. A 1577 incident in the town of Bungay, England, describes a monstrous black dog bursting through the church doors during a thunderstorm, killing 2 people, and then disappearing in a flash of fire. But here's the detail medieval historians rarely emphasize. Witnesses claimed the creature stood upright briefly as it scanned the crowd, its spine stretching unnaturally, shoulders locking into a human-like posture. This wasn't just a big dog. This was a humanoid predator, something ancient Europe had no explanation for. And it didn't appear only once. Similar sightings occurred for centuries. Some called it a demon. Others thought it was a spirit from the underworld. But in the remote countryside, they had another explanation. There are creatures in the woods that walk like men, but hunt like wolves. The modern concept of a werewolf, a cursed human transforming into a wolf, is actually a late invention. The older idea, the one whispered in forests and villages long before written stories, was far more frightening. That humans in the wilderness were being stalked by upright wolf creatures long before any myths about shape-shifting existed. One early French account describes a creature known as the loup-garou, but not in the modern sense. This version was wolf-headed, human-sized, upright, incredibly fast, intelligent, and territorial. A 12th century hunter's account says, "I saw a wolf that moved like a man, yet its arms hung long like a beast. When I shouted, it turned its head, and its eyes burned like embers in the night." This is nearly identical to Norse Ulfhednir stories, to Mesopotamian Eurydimu sightings, to Egyptian Shah depictions, to Greek kynocephaly reports. Different lands, different centuries, same creature type. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. At this point in the documentary, the viewer begins to suspect something. Why do dog-like humanoids appear across every era, every region, every culture? Why do their behaviors match? Why do their physical traits match? Why do their associations with death, thresholds, or parallel realms match? There are three possibilities. Possibility 1. Humans are hardwired to fear dog-like monsters. This would imply our ancestors were simply projecting their fears of predators onto stories. But that doesn't explain the bipedal descriptions or the identical details across continents. Possibility 2. Different cultures saw different unknown species. This would mean there were once upright dog-like predators, now extinct, spread globally. But no fossils support this, at least none publicly known. Possibility 3. These cultures encountered the same creature type across millennia. A creature that lives at the edges of human civilization, appears during times of chaos or dimensional disturbance, can transition between realms or states, matches the physical form described in every culture, and occasionally crosses into our world. This third explanation is the one ancient people believed, and it aligns disturbingly well with the idea of interdimensional predators, creatures that pass through thin places, fault lines in reality, or anomalous regions. Creatures that shouldn't exist. Creatures that behave like biological machines built for hunting. Creatures that inspired thousands of years of fear. Creatures that today we might call demo dogs.